much as I can. So I think that's
And uh, and I have to ask about your allowance and permission to record my class, my lecture. Actually, attachment theory is very like many parents are interested about the attachment theory
mm-mm,
around the world. So
mm-mm.
I want to record this like lecture. If
Sure.
yes, and then I want to upload to some edit after editing some picture and then update and
Mm-mm,
then upload to the YouTube, and then all around the world all parents can share the good like information. So can you give me a permission?
yeah, sure. Why
Okay.
not? So you're
Yeah.
gonna upload it on YouTube? You
Okay.
have a YouTube site?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have my own
Oh,
YouTube site. So if you
wow.
I just ask you your permission. So
No problem.
attachment theory and child psychoanalysis theory, and then there's a lot of things about like child developmental psychology and so on.
Mm-mm,
So we will discuss about so, and also your real mother, and
mm-mm.
you have two sons.
Yes.
One is baby and the other one is elementary school student. So it is really good like authentic material. So
Mm-mm,
our discussion is very helpful for sharing. Then the other parents, then they will get a lot of like advice and then information through our discussion, you know.
mm-mm.
So this
Sure.
I just brought to the YouTube side, and then yeah, so we just to freely just to share our information. So that's why I ask you. So it is good. So let's go back to the things. So up to now, we've done this one, the formulation of attachment theory and the first attachment study. So before we've done this one, the radical formulation and the nature of the child tied to his mother. So the attachment theory is usually focused on the tie between mother and the father, but later the theory has a little bit changes. The mother she cared her baby, and then surrounded by his father, the mother was cared. So it is like two layers. So it is father's role. Mhm. Then here, maybe we've done up to, we will continue this one, separation anxiety. Mhm. So let's see this one. What is separation anxiety? The second seminar paper built on operations by Robertson and Henrique later elaborated Hennig and Westmeyer, as well as Hollow and Zimmerman, groundbreaking work on the effect of maternal deviation. So, this effect of maternal deviation is really important for this theory in rhesus monkeys. Traditionally, Burby claims explain neither the intense attachment infants and young children to a mother figure, nor their traumatic response to separation. This is traditionally said. But Robertson had identified three phases of separation response. He just to put more. protest. This is related to separation anxiety, and then later despair, related to grief and mourning, and denial or detachment. This is related to defense mechanism, especially repression. They just show differently these three kinds of response. Again, drawing on ecological concept regarding to the control of behavior, Bowlby maintained that infant and children experience separation anxiety when a situation activates both escape and attachment behavior. Hot unattachment figure is not available. So there is a following quote inferred. Why some psychoanalytic colleagues call Bowlby a behaviorist. So actually Bowlby, he is not a psychoanalyst, but the other psychologists said he is a behaviorist. The reason is to have a deep attachment for a person or a place or thing is to have taken them as a terminating object of our institutional response. Do you understand what it means?
A deep attachment for a person or place. A terminating object of instinctual response.
So this is just the behaviorism, not psychoanalytic. It just consciously happened. Yeah. So the identity of this statement derives from mixing in the same sentence experiential language with explanatory language representing an external observer's point of view. So in this paper, Bowlby also took issue to third claim the maternal over-gratification is a danger in infancy. Over-gratification is a little bit danger in infancy, Freud said. Freud failed to realize, says Bowlby, because maternal pseudo-affection. Pseudo-affection means like a fake affection. It's not a real affection. And overprotection may derive from a mother's overcompensation for unconscious hostility. In his view, excessive separation anxiety is due to adverse family experiences such as repeated threat of abandon or rejection by parents or to a parents or siblings illness or death for which the child feels responsible.
How can a child feel responsible for someone's death? Maybe childbirth?
Yeah, actually, the 3 or 4 years old baby have uh, their younger baby, their sibling, they feels a little bit more responsible. So the parents like unconsciously give a little bit like burden. You are a brother. You are an elder brother like this.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Then they feel like responsible. Mhm.
Oh.
So like when they fighting with just a pet or just a doggy or just a mm, like puppet, then the usually traditionally the parents just to give and then give to the younger baby to the puppet and then blame the elder brother. You are elder brother. You are more responsible. You have more responsibility to take care of your younger brother like this.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Some traditional parents did like that. So that's why they have some siblings illness or tasks for which the child feels responsible. Yeah, traditionally like that. Barbie also point out that in some cases, separation anxiety can be excessively low or be altogether absent, giving an enormous impression of maturity. Hmm. He attributes pseudo-independent under these conditions to defensive processes. Hmm. A well-loved child, he claims, is quite likely to protest separation from parents, but will later develop more self-reliance. These ideas re-emerged later in Ainsworth's classification of ambivalent, avoidant, and secure pattern of infant-mother attachment. So up to now, do you understand what they said?
In a way, I think it does make sense. Especially the part a well-loved child is likely to protest separation from parents because the
Yeah,
child has deeper bond with the
yeah,
caregiver or the mother
yeah,
in a way.
yeah, exactly, right. Okay, let's go over grief and mourning in infancy and early childhood. And this page, they already, they are, it is the time they want to separate from their mother and father, and they're more independent. So they just have some time to grieve and mourning in infancy, and they just become a childhood. So most controversial paper boldly question unavoided contention that bereaved infants cannot mourn because of insufficient ego development. Therefore, experience nothing more than brief about bouts of separation anxiety. if an out-of-cost substitute caregiver is available. This is Anna Freud's opinion. But Bowlby claimed grief and mourning processes in children and adults appear whenever attachment behavior are activated, but the attachment figure continues to be unavailable. He also suggests that inability to form deep relationship with others may result when the succession of substitutes is too frequent. As with the first paper, this paper also drew strong objection from many members of the British Psychoanalytic Society. One analyst is said to have exclaimed, "Bobby, give me Weber, Barabbas." Controversy also accompanied the published version of this paper in the psychoanalytic study of the child. Unbeknownst to Bowlby, rejoinders have been invited from Anna Freud, Marshall, Lune Fitzpeace, all of whom protested various aspects of Bowlby's revision of Freud's theory. And finally, Spitz ended his rejoinder by saying, "When submitting new theories, we should not violate the principle of parsimony in science by offering hypotheses which, in contrast to existing theory, becloud of observational facts, are oversimplified, and make no contribution to the better understanding of observed phenomena." Despite this concerted attack, Bowlby remained a member of the British Psychoanalytic Society (BPS) for the rest of his life, although he never again used it as a forum for discussing his ideas. At the meeting of the Society in memory of John Bowlby, L. Grainer expressed his regret at this turn of events. "What seems wrong is when a theorist extols his own view by robbing seeing others." Bowlby received this treatment. Our therapeutic frame of mind is altered by theory. He was a great alterer of frames of mind. His controversial paper on mourning attracted the attention of Colin Parkes. Now he is well known about his research on adult bereavement. Parkes saw the relevance of Bowlby's and Robson's work on mourning in infancy and childhood for gaining insight into the process of adult grief. On joining Bowlby's research unit at Tavistock Institute in 1962, he set out to study a non-clinical group of widows in their homes to chart the course of nonlinear adult grief. About which reader was wrong, as at the time, the findings led to a joint paper with Bowlby. The pace of separation response delineated by Robertson for young children were elaborated into purposes of grief during adult life. Firstly, numbness, and then yearning and protest, and disorganizing and despair, and finally reorganization. This is purpose of grief during adult life. So paper 1960 paper, Parkes visits Elizabeth Ross in Chicago, who was gathering data from her influencer book on death and dying. The phase of dying described in her book, like denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, owe much to Bowlby's and Robertson's thinking. He also introduced Parks to the founder of the modern hospice movement. Sanders. Sanders and Parks used attachment theory and research in developing programs for emotional care of dying and bereaved. What they found particularly helpful in countering negative attitude to the dying and bereaved was the concept of grief as a process toward attaining a new identity rather than a state. And later, they study the firstly empirical study of attachment in Uganda, Africa. So let's look at Miss Ainsworth's work. She just left Tavistock Clinic, quite far familiar with Bobby's thinking about ethology, but not convinced of its value for understanding infant-mother attachment. She just headed for Uganda, where Leonard Ainsworth, her husband, had obtained a position at the East African Institute of Social Research in Kampala. With help from the same institute, she was also able to scrape together funds for an observational study, but not be providing Bobby a letter she called the empirical validation of his ethological notion. Inspired by her analysis of Robertson data, Ainsworth had initially planned an investigation of toddler separation responses during weaning. But it soon became obvious that old tradition of sending the child away to forget the breast had broken down. She decided to switch gears and observe the development of infant-mother attachment. As soon as she began her data collection, Anne was struck by the permittance of verbicides. So, the first study of infant-mother attachment from an ecological perspective was undertaken several years before the publication of three seminal papers in which Bowlby laid out attachment theory. I think time is already almost up, so let's call it a day until up to here.
End of
And
the
then,
page.
yeah, tomorrow, page 14, we will continue page 14. And then, if you have any question about the contents of the attachment theory, you can just to say anytime.
Oh,
Have
of course. Actually, I have one question in my mind, but maybe we can discuss it tomorrow.
okay.
I want to because this talks about like grief and how children manage that. I wonder, in your own words or in your own opinion, how do we explain dying and grief to children?
Okay,
How do
yes.
we talk to them about it? Do we talk to them
Uh,
or not talk to them? That would be an interesting thought. In
yeah,
in more layman's term, in more simple terms, I'd love to hear your opinion on that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
the children and the baby can experience the death of someone
Mm,
very close people,
mm.
like their grandmother or their like parents, but
Yeah,
it's not easy to explain to
it's
them.
not. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think most common thing is like I remember when my grandfather died. I was 5 years old, but I remember what they told me. They said he was just sleeping.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and I don't know if that's the right thing to say. I mean, because
yeah,
like
yeah,
when they said he was just sleeping,
yeah,
I
yeah,
kept going back to his coffin and saying, "Grandpa, wake up."
yeah. And also some people, some parents just to like make a lie. They're just to
Yeah, but
went
in
back
their
to
own
the
way, they
like
think that's the
fraud
right way
or
to do it,
yeah,
though,
but
in
I
their own
think
way.
yeah,
But
I
is
don't
that really right to do, or is it that should we change that? What's the proper way of dealing with a family member dying?
yeah.
I'd love to hear
So
more of that
I think
tomorrow.
tomorrow we'll discuss about how to explain the death to the
Hmm.
children and the baby.
Grief and death and dying, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah, okay.
interesting
It's
topic. Thank you
interesting.
for your time.
Okay, good.
Take care,
Take
okay? I'll
care
see you
and
tomorrow.
bye.
Bye.